Hello everyone, and welcome to another video of Confronting Chaos, a series of partner videos to Chaos fight footage to outline the enemies and explain why characters are boosted. In this video, I'll be going over the Machina Lost Chapter Chaos fight, so let's get started. This fight is divided into two waves. The first wave against two Humbabas, and the second wave against two Marilith Tempests. The Humbabas are immune to generic stat debuffs, susceptible to poison, and absorb thunder. If you've done Dimensions and Entropy Tier 8, you know how these guys operate. Fairly strong Brave attacks, one group attack option, Needle Shot as a fairly powerful Brave and HP attack, and Humbaba Breath has insane delay. While they're not complicated, they can be a bit obnoxious, and if they both end up delaying the same unit, you can just say goodbye to them for a good long while, so you don't want to let this round go on for too long. The Marilith Tempest is the featured boss for this fight. They are immune to most of the same debuffs as the Humbabas, but also add in turn rate down and immunity to poison, while also absorbing thunder damage. They don't have a gimmick or a recast move, but they are fairly aggressive and have strong, multi-hitting moves for both single target and the whole group. They have two group attacks, and one of them is an HP attack, but I didn't notice them use it until later in the fight. Overall, I would recommend not being too low on bravery during this wave, as unless you have a form of defensive buff or framed offensive debuff on them, you're going to be taking a fair amount of damage from their attacks. With the enemies out of the way, let's analyze the boosted characters for this fight. Sid gets a rework and realization with this event. Hyper Jump becomes stronger and refunds bravery after the HP hit, while Boost Jump gets an HP conversion, Brave Return, and will extend the Lancer buff. Dragon Dive meanwhile deals splash damage, while the Dragon HP attack gains more hits, splash damage as well, and will extend the Dragoon buff. His EX Plus improves his overall damage and his skill longevity, just a little bit. Realization improves the cast damage, gives him Brave Return after the final HP attack, and applies a Wind Imperil to all enemies, enabling or boosting his damage from his main skills and from his Dragon HP attack. One ingot raises his max bravery, which is helpful since his main skills are all group attacks, but not raising attack as well is pretty weird. 2 ingots gives him starting unique buffs as well as starting EX gauge, improving the recast rotation. 3 ingots add 6 more hits to the EX cast, totaling 13 hits, as well as increasing the overall potency of the cast. Machina's LD grants him Stunning Slash, an 8-hit group attack with split damage and Brave Return that applies Spiral's Linchpin onto all enemies and Piercing Power onto Machina. The move has instant turn rate similar to Awakening and grants him a free skill cast on his next turn. The buff raises Machina's attack and overflow limit, while the debuff lowers speed. Additionally, on your turn, if Machina attacks an enemy with the debuff on, he'll do a follow-up 4-hit group attack with split damage that also has Brave Return, meaning Machina himself will generally end up safe no matter how he dumps bravery as long as he's attacking an enemy with the debuff on. Rem, meanwhile, is a very simple but effective support. She has high burst healing, a potent attack aura, slight regen, and the ability to swap turns and battery at the same time is deceptively strong, especially when you're someone like Machina who wants even more turns. Her EX is a decent group heal and adds to her longevity thanks to a free skill cast on her next turn. As for the team I chose, here's the breakdown. Vaughn was a solid damage choice for this fight. Boosted stats, very high single target damage, and more than enough longevity. The Humbabas do not enrage, but the Mariliths do. So like most single target attackers, it is wise to try and balance the heavy hitting skills between the group so you're not suddenly making one incredibly strong and you still have like 20% HP to get through. Blind is handy as one of the few debuffs that can actually apply onto the Mariliths, as well as Vaughn's natural Brave Return keeping him safe even when targeted. Arciella offers healing, a fair amount of battery, enhanced regen, and 2 debuffs that can actually apply onto the Mariliths. All her buffs are auras, and being able to regen to initial bravery after one turn is pretty handy if you're able to get off attacks fairly often. Mariliths in general also have dangerous group HP attacks, so being able to deny them and delay them doing those was helpful. Both the Humbabas and the Mariliths have primarily physical attacks, and in fact all single target HP attacks in this fight are physical, so Galuf is ready to have a good time. Setup, dodge, cover the allies, and then the only things to be really worried about are the group attacks. But both Vaughn and Arciella were capable of shaving, with Vaughn keeping himself safe and Arciella keeping the party safe. With that, this Chaos fight should be covered. If you want to see my footage of this fight, I'll link it in the corner and in the description below. If you liked what you saw and want to see future fights, subscribe so they show up as they're made. If you have any suggestions or thoughts, drop them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.